All right, so I'm sitting here with Johnny Manchild of Johnny Manchild and the Poor Bastards. So let's go ahead and just get into it. I've been listening to the new album since it came out. I've been listening to a couple of the singles as they've been released, and I'm not super good at describing styles of music. So would you kind of give us like a little bit of a rundown of like what your style is? You know, what you would describe it as at least, and kind of some of your influences.
Yeah. Um, I've been trying to get better at this. It depends who's asking. If it's like my grandma or something, I'll
Hmm.
say it's, piano rock. If it's someone more like on your side of things, a little less like civilian or pedestrian, I guess, I like to call it art rock, I think.
Okay.
Um, because it's a little all encompassing. And I do take influence from a lot of different things. Um, That's been a conversation that's come up a lot lately, and it's not with any specific intention or anything, but like I think it mixes a bit of what you'd call like jazz or soul, maybe even R&B. There's even some dub influence in the way we produce some of the stuff, and then grunge, punk, sort of that kind of thing. It all kind of mixes together. So art rock, I think, is a nice, like, all-encompassing genre,
Yeah.
just to describe. Uh, I like writing for different moods, and Radiohead is technically art rock, but
Yeah.
like, so is She Found Stevens or something. So like, that's what I like to
Yeah.
call it,
Okay.
if it's not too
And
pretentious, I guess.
yeah. So along the same lines, you're mentioning the new album. What kind of you know inspired you to write some of the songs on the album? Kind of like, has it got specific topics or anything?
Yeah, I mean, some of them are things I've definitely written about before. I think everybody has repeat topics, um, at least a little bit. But yeah, like this record is pretty specifically about my time during the pandemic and losing friends that were really close to me, having kind of big life changes, having to pick everything up and move and start over multiple times. It felt like, um, and then also, there's songs on there about just the state of things and kind of how fucked up everything feels, um, globally and nationally, and we're kind of face to face with blatant, outright like racism and violence and God, I mean, almost like a class war mentality happening with the way that people view each other and the rich and everything. And it feels like a very hostile place right now.
Yeah.
Um, kind of like that's sort of the imagery of the record that I had in my head. Is like it feels like we're about to like just run straight up into Armageddon. Like
Yeah.
this is the vibe of like what I would always imagine the world might be like right before this happens.
Yeah.
But not great.
Yeah.
So
Is that kind of where you got the title for the album, Rapture Waltz?
yeah, well, so
Kind of
the
seems kind of like dancing into the Armageddon, like you said.
kind of, and it's funny because it's kind of a play off of the last record's album title, in a weird roundabout way. The title track is originally called Rapture, but it was a waltz. It was technically in 3/4, and I liked the title Rapture Waltz. And there's the quote that inspired the album title for my last record was this Stephen King quote from 11/22/63, which literally describes, we're not here for long, so uh, dance and live and stuff. And it's kind of like the idea of like, yeah, Rapture Waltz, just dancing into oblivion. That's kind of what it feels like we're doing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's a weird take. I don't think the album is inherently negative or nihilistic or anything, but it is definitely coming from a place that acknowledges how dark things seem to be right now.
Yeah.
So
No. Yeah, that makes sense. And while we're on the topic of acknowledging, I'll just acknowledge this is our second go around of recording this exact interview. Um, the last time we talked to you, which you know, there may be audio of that coming out at some point in time. We'll see how that goes. Um, you were kind of going through a little bit of a situation with getting the album released. Describe any of that. Then just you know, let
Well,
us
it
know how
wasn't
that went.
so it wasn't an issue exactly with getting the album released. Well, in a way, it was. It was is our pre-sale campaign, which for us, like as an, or for me or whatever, as an independent artist, is kind of like the entire center of this operation right now.
Yeah.
We had a killer pre-sale campaign for the record, and we made like 48 grand. It was great, like super killer, like blown away by the support. And we were working with this company from Chicago called Second City Prints, and they went bankrupt, and they gave me no notice. Um, we were literally a week out from them producing and shipping everything. Like they were going to start producing, the merch items and ship it all off to all the people who ordered. And I just get this email that's like, "Hey, nonchalant, like SCP will be closing its doors. Your store is no longer online." Done. And so,
Jeez.
long story short, they did lose all the money. We had no way of getting it back. And so, luckily, I reached out to as many people as I could, everyone who ordered, and I was like, "Hey, this is what's happening." Luckily, Billboard and a bunch of other, reputable sites had covered the story because it happened to like Mitski and Father John Misty and Dashboard Confessional and big artists,
Jeez.
big artists. They lost. We honestly, I found out later on as this went on that we weren't uh, by any means the worst case scenario. Um, there was certain artists that had used them to, as their tour merch company, and so all the sales that they had made on tour went to them, and then they lost all that money. And so there were artists out there giving away free merch on tour, essentially,
Oh, jeez.
which is the life of anyone on the
Yeah.
road is merch. So there were a lot of worse cases than I was, but I contacted all the fans and I was like, look, talk to your bank. It's going to be a pain in the ass, but get them to refund you because that's the only way this is going to happen is if you. I sent them like, here's the articles, here's the information you need. It's plainly obvious that they no longer exist and they're defunct. And most people got refunded. And um, by request of the fans, actually started a second pre-sale campaign and ran it for another 2 months, and we made $38,000 back. So
Nice. It's not bad.
all in all, like it's just been kind of a display of how insane our fans are and how supportive they are. Um, and it's cool. It sucks, but it's. Uh, I kind of said this before off the recording. Like I have the best bad luck ever. Like whatever the best case scenario is after really bad things happen, that's how it tends to go.
Yeah. It's one of those. If it wasn't for bad luck, you'd have no luck at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
So you mentioned tour. You're about to actually hit the road and go out on tour, going all over the country, and I'll actually scroll the dates up along here. So if anybody wants to check it out, um, let us know a little bit about the tour. Who are you going out on the road with, and how long is this road? How the tour taking you?
well, it's like three legs of the Rapture tour, and we've already been on the first one, um, which was like Texas mostly, and then we hit Louisiana and Memphis and Nashville, um, and that was we had Holdfast opening for us. They're a band from Colorado. There's three brothers, and they're solid. We had a lot of fun with them on that tour. And then the second leg is our like West Coast leg all the way up the coast and to Seattle and back down through like Salt Lake City. And I think we're hitting Denver on the way out, and then we end in Kansas City. And that is going to be a band called Valoris is opening for us, which I'm excited to meet them in person. That is Nathan Maxwell, the bassist of Flogging Molly,
Oh,
and,
okay.
and his wife. And so they're opening for us on that run, and they both seem like super cool. I'm excited about that. And then final leg, we're doing the East Coast, kind of starting in the northern Midwest with Minnesota and Wisconsin, and then going over further east and all the way back down the coast again. And that is once again Hold Fast is opening for us on that run.
Cool.
And then we'll see after
Yeah.
that.
Um, Now, something I'm going to refer to something we asked you in the last one, but I really like the answer that you gave, and I just kind of want to ask you again, see if anything's changed. But
Okay.
um, we asked you about who would be like a dream tour mate, like who you would either like to open for, or have open for you, or how that would go. Like, we'll actually do it as two part. Who would you like to have open for you at some point in time that hasn't opened for you necessarily?
Open for me? God.
Yeah,
Um,
somebody
Jesus.
that you'd like to take on the road sometime.
Specifically open for me, um, instead of the other way around, or is that a
We'll do both. Yeah.
okay? If
Yeah.
open for me, I mean, like I think maybe like the Dirty Nil.
Okay.
Um, I love them, and like I would feel pretty odd if they were opening for us, but just a little. We're about the same. Like we run all, pretty much the same numbers.
Maybe like a co-headline. How about that?
Perfect.
We'll
Yeah,
call it a co-headline
I
tour.
don't want
Yeah.
anybody to open for me. So, um, but no, co-headline Dirty Nil, hands down. I like them a lot. They're these guys from Canada. They live in
Okay.
LA now, I think. They're really not as big as I always thought they were. I just really dig their music. Um,
Well, it's a band
they're
that we can all check out now if we haven't heard of them. So
they're
yeah,
awesome.
good to hear.
That's what Heaven feels like. Is their one of their bigger songs, and I like it a lot.
Okay.
And then if I were to open for a band, I don't know what I said last time, but I feel like it was probably the Dresden Dolls
Yep.
because I really want to do
Yeah.
that.
That would be awesome. And we will tag everybody as much as possible to see if we can make that happen, because that would be an awesome tour in my opinion. It
I
Your style of music fits very well with theirs as well. So
I am
it's I
working
think so.
through dark forces to try and make something happen there.
Yeah. We,
Um,
we have some dark forces on our side too, though. So
but yeah, all the dark forces converge.
oh yeah, we'll
Uh,
start tagging Amanda Palmer and all that. So it'd be pretty great. All right, so your album just came out a few days ago. Um, Other than the album and tour, is there anything that you would like to kind of talk about, like promote or anything? Anything in the works that you got going on?
oh God, I mean, now that I mean, really, other than tours, not really. That's kind of the name of the game now is to get out and hopefully fill the venues up with as many people as we can.
Yeah.
Um, which it looks promising. I we had our album release show here in Oklahoma. We had a kid, Sander, come from Norway,
Jeez.
to see the show,
Norway to Oklahoma,
which
man.
is fantastic. Yeah, I was like, "Are you here just for this?" And he's like, "Yeah." So
Okay.
it's cool. Um,
I kind of think you need to return the favor and do a Norwegian
I
tour.
I told him, I was like, "Look, I'm that's if I can there's a few things that I have to do obviously. Like I'm not that big. I'm very much independent, but if I can check a few boxes and level up a little bit, I absolutely want to do like a European solo piano tour.
That'd be
Um,
cool.
I think that'd be rad. Like backpack with my clothes, book venues that already have pianos, make my load in easy. I think that would be super fun. Um, and I'd love to do it. It's a completely. I've done the solo shows before. It's a completely different thing. Because I have complete control over interacting with the crowd. I can take I know all my songs. I can take requests all day. Um, I don't have to teach a band, so that's a whole other kind of show that I would love to do.
Yeah.
Um, but the question, promote? No, not really. I'm excited to get out.
Yeah.
Um, I've got a lot
Well,
of music I'm hoping to work on right after these tours, and if I can help it, I'll have some new stuff out at the end of the year. So
I will say, leading up to actually talking to you the first time, I was watching a couple of videos of some of your performances online. And did you do a tour of like backyards at one point?
I
Because I
will,
saw you guys playing the like an above ground pool
I will
on one
explain.
of them.
Yeah,
Just
and
curious about that.
we had him play piano with us because he knew the song. Um, so this is how I got a booking agent, how I got things rolling. So anyone who does this knows that there is a massive I mean there's so many chicken and the egg situations in the music industry, and one of the big ones is a booking agent. You know, you you need a booking agent to have access to these markets, but you can't get a booking agent until you've already cornered some of the markets because no one's going to make any money. Why do they give a shit? So
Yeah.
that was one of the biggest things. And I've been trying to figure it out for years. I say years, like 2 years, because COVID had started to chill out a bit, a little, and we were able to move around. And it was actually I started working with this guy Vinny Rich, who's my manager now, and it was his idea. He told me this, and I was like, yeah, and I ran with it hard. He was like, I think you should do house shows, and so I was like, what if we did a whole tour of fucking house shows? And I put out this thing like on all of our email lists and our group like fan group chats and stuff, and I was like, hey, if you would be down for $300, my drummer and I will come to a duo show at your house, wherever you're at. And we took submissions and we got like 53 in 3 days. And so I had to stop. I was like, okay, no more.
Whoa.
I had
Jeez.
no more. And so literally the way I did it, I'm actually very proud of this. This is the most logistic work I've ever done in my life. I sat down, I created Google Forms, I mapped out all the cities, and I realized, like, okay, look, if we just make a full like if we have to keep going back and forth, we're wasting gas, we're wasting time. But and I convinced my drummer to do this with me, which is insane. I was like, if we go and hit all these cities in one big circle, we can do it in 48 days. And so I contacted everybody. I was like, hey, it's Johnny. I'm down. Are you cool to give me your deposit? We got $300 in advance from everybody that wanted to do it. I had the bank account full. We got the hotels, we got the gas, we got everything covered. And Ethan and I went on the road for 48 days and did like 42 shows. I even booked it where we would have like a matinee show if the cities were close enough. So we'd make, double in one day to help us out. I would do a 2 p.m. show and a 7 p.m. show for different house shows. And we did that multiple times. And so the routing basically ended up being all the way through, we started in Little Rock, all the way down through Texas, through New Orleans, across the South, all the way through the Smokies, up the East Coast, finally all the way to New York, North New York, and like the Wyantskill area, through Canada. We had 2 shows in Canada, back down through Michigan, all the way down the
Man.
Midwest, and it took us 6 weeks, nonstop,
Jeez.
and it was the coolest thing I've ever done.
That's awesome.
It was crazy, dude. Like we had so many good like memories, and the best part about it that I took it for granted. If you're playing venues, you're playing at 9 p.m., 10 p.m. at night, right? And then, you load up, there's other bands. You get home at like 1 or 2 in the morning, and then you got to wake up and start driving, do the whole thing. But since I had booked it, and since we were playing houses, every single show, load in was at 5, the show was at 7, and we were back at our hotel by 9:30 every night.
Man. It's
um,
like getting a routine there.
it was killer. A lot of good memories, a lot of really beautiful places. We saw Shenandoah Valley, like things that you don't get to have time to do on tour. So anyway, that's my long-winded explanation for what that was.
That was
um,
just a random set of YouTube videos I came across. I was like, he's in the backyard again. What?
yeah,
Wait, now he's on a pool. Like, what is going on here? So yeah, it was kind of interesting. I was hoping you had some kind of story about that.
I view our
It's pretty
friend,
great.
our fans are like the I don't know. I saw Dune recently. Everyone did, but it's like it's desert power, Like we have such a dedicated fan base. We can pull shit like that off, and they generate so much hype and funding straight up. Like they're killer. So yeah, that tour was a one of a kind thing that we got to do for sure.
It's awesome. Well, is there any websites that we could direct people to? How would they get tickets and
Yeah.
any of that?
Yeah, you can well, easiest one is manchild.band. Um so that's, my website. You can go to manchild.band/tour. We've got all of our tickets always available and listed on there. And actually, frankly, I should say, like, I've been having to direct people there more because for the first time uh, ever, I have found AI generated merch that isn't us.
We had the same thing happen actually. We've got people selling we call our fans tapeworms because mixtape.
Gotcha.
And somebody started going into our fan page on Facebook and was trying to sell AI generated T-shirts. So
So we've got that, and then we've got like tickets going for like $50, and I had to be like, "That's not us. Don't buy them. Don't do it. Like, go to my
mhm,
website." So,
yeah,
we do pre-sale campaigns and stuff on there. Like, I think next month I'm going to do a little like quick limited run merch thing for like some new hats and shirts and stuff. Just fun things like that. So, website's good for everything.
awesome.
Yeah.
And you have merch at the shows and everything too.
Oh yeah. I that's the hardest part of this whole like job is keeping my merchandise stocked and cool.
Yeah,
Like, um,
3X shirts. We're fat in the Midwest.
yeah, I can only I go up to 2X on tour.
Hats always fit though. So
Do people don't, like a lot of people don't think about like how much if like 3X shirts, man, they take up space.
oh, I know. I got a closet.
Vinyl, but vinyl too, man. Like I've had to really we do like a vacuum seal packaging for all of our t-shirts. Like I've had to really get creative with how to make this work. Um, but I try to we go up to 2X at least. So
All right, cool,
uh, as good as I can do.
awesome. Well, appreciate taking some time, and we'll have links down in the description, and we'll be blasting this all out over social media. And everybody, go check out Johnny Manchild and the Poor Bastards on tour in a city near you.
And I'll see you on the 17th.
Thank you for watching the mixtape. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Click the bell icon for notifications when new videos come out. And remember to always stay awesome.